Welcome back to Between the Baobabs, where life slows down just a little bit. So grab a glass of something good and hang out with me as I dive into our next episode. Hi, I'm Anna, coming to you live from South Luangwa, Zambia. Today we're talking about one of Africa's most photographed birds, one that's on postcards, safari brochures, takes up more than half of your camera's memory, and is probably responsible for people saying, wow, more than any other bird on the continent. But trust me, they're more than just a pretty face. Today we'll discover why they're called rollers, how they hunt, why they have such strange feet, some fascinating African folklore, and I'll finish off with one of the hardest 2 truths and a lie challenges we've ever done. So let's head out between the baobabs. But first, let's get back to 2 truths and a lie from last week, which was all about pangolins. So I'm going to start off by reading all the 3 statements that I made last week, and you're going to let me know in the comments which one you thought it was, and I will then tell you which one is the lie. All right, let's get into it. Statement number 1. The ponticular conosis is a sheet of muscle beneath the skin found in many mammals. In pangolins, it helps control their skin and scales movements, contributing to their ability to curl tightly into a ball. Statement number 2. Temenix ground pangolins do dig burrows, but they are also known to use old burrows made by other animals, especially when suitable shelter is available. They are not always relying only on their own permanent tunnels. Statement number 3. Pangolins are capable swimmers. They are not aquatic animals, but they can cross water and may enter water to cool themselves or escape threats. All right, so what did you think it was? Which one was the lie? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so the lie was statement number 3. So it sounds believable, but it's actually just misleading. Temenix ground pangolins do dig burrows, but are opportunistic and can use existing burrows, especially when they find suitable shelter. Their shelters can vary depending on habitat, soil, and availability. It was just a bit of word trickery. Sorry if you were fooled. Not too sorry, though. I do like having people, how do I say, being tricked, I guess. Anyways, yeah. Now, back to the Lilac-breasted Roller. And as usual, we are going to start off with the taxonomy behind the Lilac-breasted Roller. And firstly, we have kingdom, which is Animalia, because it's an animal. Phylum, Chordata, because it has a notochord or a spinal cord. Class Aves. This is the group containing all birds. Members of Aves have feathers, beaks, lay eggs, and have lightweight skeleton adapted for flight. The order is Coraciiformes, and this order kind of gathers together your more prettier birds, like the rest of the rollers, kingfishers, bee-eaters, hornbills. Many members are colorful birds with strong bills and a hunting style which involves perching and watching from high up, and then they swoop down and catch whatever they are looking for. The family is known as Coraciidae, and this basically gathers together all of your rollers, and it's these birds that basically display a lot of rolling and like athleticism during courtship and territorial displays. Yeah, and that's why they're actually called rollers, because they roll in flight during territorial and courtship. Their genus is Coraceas, which is basically putting together a lot of the true rollers and it comes from the Greek word which means raven. And we believe that it is due to the darker, more raveny look from the earlier rollers, like their little ancestors and stuff like that. So basically, their earlier described species. And then this species in particular is known as the Coraceus caudatus. And caudatus basically implies in Latin the like tail. And it's basically referring to its really long outer tail feathers, which just kind of stream along the sides of the tail. So if you've ever looked at a roller, lilac-breasted roller, it's got a longer looking tail, and when it spreads the tail out, it's got these very long, elongated feathers on the ends of the tail. And that's basically what they're implying, is that it's a long-tailed, raven-like bird. Yeah. Anyways, that is the lilac-breasted roller broken down taxonomically. And to those of you who are planning on asking me for that breakdown on my future game drives, thanks. You are definitely improving my guiding skills. But I will appreciate trying to repronounce those again in the future without it being right in front of me. Because we all know Anna and her Latin is quite something. If you are looking to see these beautiful birds, basically a rainbow that threw up on a bird, it's very simple. All you have to do is travel to South Luangwa because we have so many of them. But they're also found in other parts of Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, which it's really actually known for, is out on those on the Okavanga Delta. There's a lot of very iconic photos taken there, and it's a bird that is iconically known as the Botswana bird, or bird of Botswana. It's not legally known as the bird of Botswana, but it is referred to as that. It's also found in Namibia, South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Mozambique, Malawi, Angola, parts of Ethiopia, and Somalia. Yeah. So if you are in any of those countries, chances are you could see one. However, you will not see one in Lusaka, Zambia, so do not think that just because it is in that country, it will be found anywhere. It is found in national parks, so you definitely need to go have a look in specific areas where they are found. So just ask yourself, where would Anna find that bird? You might just land on an answer. Although my number one answer is South Luangwa, so you just might have to book that flight. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it is a bird that looks like a rainbow has thrown up on it. And it is an accurate description because it has most of the colors that are found in a rainbow. It has blue, turquoise, green, purple, lilac, of course, white, brown, black. And yet, there's quite something remarkable about these colors. So most of these colors aren't actually pigments. Instead, they are what is known as structural colors. Tiny microscopic structures inside the feathers bend and scatter light rather like a bit of a prism. So like, have you ever done that scientific experiment where you have that diamond looking glass thing in science and you put a light in, all those rainbow colors come out? Well, it's basically the same thing. So light hits the feathers and the feathers scatter the light particles, if you will, and then create this really, really cool rainbow looking bird. And that's why the blues remain extremely bright for so many years. Like they don't fade off like, the rest of us when we get old, get grey hairs and all that nonsense. Now some of you might be wondering, can these birds even begin to comprehend how colorful they are? Well, I would like for you to actually know that yes, they do. And they can probably see colors that we can't. Like many birds, lilac-breasted rollers have 4 color receptors rather than 3. So like us, we have just the 3. They have 4. So they literally see, like, they can detect ultraviolet lights, and like it's crazy. Like they see so much more than we do. Yeah. Their feathers may be even more spectacular than we think that they are. So like to us, we're like, that's a really colorful bird. But to them, they're like, bruh, what happened? Did every color in the world find you? So yeah, no, that's about their colors, guys. Now onto their hunting style. Unlike their relatives, the bee eaters, they actually prefer a perched hunting style. They're very patient. They're like little fishermen. They wait until they see something of some sort of interest, and then they launch and they nail it on the head. Not literally nail it, but they grab the prey from the ground before returning to exactly the same perch. And their diets include grasshoppers, beetles, crickets, termites, scorpions, small snakes, lizards, frogs, rodents, small birds, and even young chameleons. Despite their dazzling appearance, they're surprisingly fierce little predators. They literally eat so much, and they sit and they wait. They either sit on like fences, they sit and they wait on trees. I've seen them on. So like if you stay here where I work, we go across the pontoon or ferry, if you will. And they've got these long cables, and we always, especially first thing in the morning, you'll see them sitting on the cables, waiting for daylight to break, so that all these insects start flying up. And that's when they do most of their hunting, And then, yeah, I mean, I've seen a hunt as well. It's very, very cool. I was with Calvin, who you guys know, and he saw this bird checking out something on the ground, and he stopped the car because the bird was going for something, and we interrupted his hunt actually because we didn't see it in time. And Calvin goes, okay, this guy's hungry and he will go back for what he's looking for. Very patient bird. So he moves the car out of the way, which, by the way, guys, is the nice thing to do. You don't want to interrupt someone's dinner. It's very rude. So he parks and he waits a good distance away from what's happening, but not far enough that I can't photograph it. So a lot of the photography that you see on our posts is from that specific day. And we're just sitting and waiting, and this roller hops closer and closer to what he's going for. But he inspects it first, and he sees, oh, that's a wasp that had killed a spider. And he thinks to himself, okay, the wasp will sting me if I just go in carelessly. So you can see, like, he hops up and he hovers quickly, and then he hops down, and he's trying to figure out the angle at which he can steal the spider away from the wasp without getting injured. And eventually that moment comes, and he snatches up the spider, and he flies away to where he was previously. And you just see this little wasp hovering up and down, looking for his spider. Like, where did it go? What happened? And I'm giggling, but I actually feel pretty bad for the spider. I mean, for the wasp. I feel terrible for the spider. But as the guys will tell you here, it is the way of life. It is the circle of life. And something has to die in order for something else to eat. And that includes herbivores, guys. Plants are dying, And we are just like, oh, look at the elephant killing the plant. We don't think that, of course, but we like photographing such things. Anyways, that was my morbid thought for the day. Now, onto the feet. So, one feature many people never notice is their feet, of course, because who looks? Other than those of us who are studying these things. Rollers have what's called sorry guys, a little bit of patience with me. Synodactyl feet. Synodactyl. Anyways, synodactyl. I'll let you decide. SYNDACTYL. Feet. FEET. Now, the middle and outer front toes are partly fused together. And this structure is by design, because of course it is. Like, all animals have been adapted to be perfect for exactly what they're trying to eat. And everything revolves around food. I don't know if you guys know this, but yes. And basically it gives them additional strength when gripping branches while launching after prey. So it's literally designed to grab onto the branch and launch itself so that it gets maximum speed for hunting. Like, how cool. And how perfectly designed. Kingfishers and bee eaters share this unusual adaptation. So it's not just the rollers, but a few of these other guys that are perchers and hunt through force, basically. Yeah. Now, on to what they are feeding. So lilac-breasted rollers are nesters, of course, because they are birds. So they live in little nests. But they don't build nests like weavers or hammerkops or any of these other birds that we'll get to eventually. They use tree cavities, old woodpecker holes, or hollows in dead trees. And the female usually lays between 2 and 4 eggs. And both parents incubate the eggs. So he's a very good dad, guys. Very good dad. He is involved. He's like, I will help keep warm my babies. And something else to note about the life of a roller is that the chicks leave the nest really, really quickly. All right? The reason is actually for survival. Tree cavities become dangerous. Snakes discover them. Genets investigate them. Monitor lizards search them. Which, by the way, if you guys don't know this about me, I don't like a monitor lizard. There are many animals in this world that people are surprised, but I love animals. Of course, due to my career choice, you people are like, yes, at least this makes sense. However, me and a monitor lizard, I coexist with them because I know they play a role. But I'm not really a fan. I love monitor lizard time because they're strange looking creatures. But not a fan because they eat all these baby animals. They have no mercy. And we'll get into that one day. But just a little side note for you guys. For when we get to that episode, I'll barely give them 10 minutes. I'm kidding. For you guys, I'll do half an hour. But they don't deserve that much time in the spotlight due to the amount of things they kill. Anyways, back to the roller. The longer chicks remain inside, the greater the chance a predator eventually finds them, is basically the point. And by leaving early, even though they're inexperienced, their survival chances actually increase. It's one of nature's calculated risks, basically. And another thing is, if you think about living in such a small space with 4 other siblings, by the way, yeah, it gets a bit much, eh? Like, I remember living in a house with like 5 other people, and I was like, yo, dude, there's not enough space. there's, there's not enough space. Although living with my bestie was really cool. But yes, other than that, but yeah, if you're living in such a small little hole with 4 other people, it can get a little cramped. It can get a little, not smelling so great. So yeah, no, eventually it just becomes a better choice for them to leave the nest. They gotta go. They got to go. Another thing that's quite fascinating about rollers is the fact that they are extremely territorial little creatures. The pair together, yes, incubates the eggs, but they also defend their nesting areas rather aggressively. They'll chase away other rollers, crows, hornbills, and even other larger birds. And they're fearless for something weighing only like 100 grams. They literally give off like Jack Russell Jack Russell behavior, basically. And they have short man syndrome, guys. they literally like, I don't care about your size. This is my home. Back off. But yeah, and they're very little things. So not exactly a fair fight. But they'll get into that fight. They have no scum. They literally give off Fuff de Clack energy. Oh, Fuffy? Yeah, this is them, guys. This is them. Although Fuff is like, I think he's something like just shy of 6 foot. So he is actually quite a tall dude. And then you got to think about how tall the rest of the rugby team is. Anyways, that's just my 50 cents. Okay, so now I want to jump into our African myth or belief. And before you file me smooth, let me just change the tune a little bit. It's not exactly an African belief, but a bit more of a story. And a real story at that. So, among several Zulu traditions, the lilac-breasted roller was admired for its beauty and striking colors. Historical accounts also describe it as being a favorite of Mzilikazi, the founder of the Ndebele nation. After his split from the Zulu kingdom, its elegance and bold appearance came to symbolize dignity and leadership, and its feathers were something assorted with status and respect. While stories differ from community to community, the bird was often seen as a positive omen rather than something to fear. Seeing one before a journey or important gathering was in some traditions considered a sign of good fortune. Now, for those of you who don't actually know who Mzilikazi was, now this is actually a story I got from my dad, and he explained it to me that Mzilikazi was one of Shaka Zulu's military leaders, and he was known for his raids. So he would go from village to village raiding and accumulating wealth, women, and cattle for Shaka Zulu, basically strengthening the Zulu kingdom, right? And he later on decided he no longer wanted to answer to Shaka Zulu, and he believed that he had a right during one of his raids that he did. He decided, I'm not going to give away the cattle that I have worked so hard to earn. I'm going to take this and I'm going to start my own thing. And he then moved further north into what is now known as Zimbabwe, and he started the Ndebele kingdom, all on his lonesome. And during his reign, the lilac-breasted roller became a sign of royalty, And if you've ever seen one, he basically describes that the blues of the bird, the blue color that you saw on the bird, could only be associated with royalty. So he said that this bird is a bird that will be respected and taken seriously and will not be harmed during his reign. And that's exactly what happened. That bird was looked after and became obviously a sign of good fortune. Now, because of all these colors, this bird is kind of considered a photographer's fan favorite. And it's because they perch in the open, so there's not usually a lot of foliage around them. So a lot of bird photography is very difficult because birds tend to like to be inside of the shrub, whereas rollers prefer to be a little bit more out there, which is a lot nicer for those of us who are trying to take photos of them. They also tend to tolerate vehicles pretty well, so you can get a decent distance from them to take a really, really nice photo. And they sit on, like, usually on dead branches and stuff, so they pop a lot more, so they're not stuck behind leaves and stuff, and it's not very difficult to photograph them. And this allows their colors to concentrate perfectly against like African skies, and they just pop. They usually just pop. And for most people, they cooperate. A lot of people will be like, yeah, no, they perform for you perfectly. I will tell you something about myself. A little something else, right? That bird and I don't know what I did. I don't know at what point it turned sour. But whenever I would like to take a photo of that bird taking off, it's like it waits. It knows exactly when my camera is flaring up, when it's not in focus, when things don't want to work with me, or when I need a break, or when I need to move because my muscle's about to spasm. He then decides in that moment when I am not looking through that little peeper hole, he's like, now I fly. Now I'm going to go. So for me, I would not say he's very cooperative, but a lot of other people have better luck than I do. So yeah. Something else you would like to know about this bird is its conservation status. Now, thankfully, the lilac-breasted roller is currently listed at least concern. Their population remains widespread, but that doesn't mean they're immune. Threats include habitat loss, removal of old nesting trees, pesticides reducing insect population, climate change affecting prey availability. Conserving mature woodland doesn't just protect rollers, it protects countless other cavity nesting birds too. But yes, it's not of any real concern to anyone yet. They are doing very well. They are breeding. They are in the many numbers. And now I believe is a good time to go into the 2 truths and a lie. Even experienced safari guides may have to think about this one. Statement number 1. The lilac-breasted roller has a functional preening gland that secretes a blue-tinted oil, helping maintain the brightness of its plumage. Statement number 2. The outer primary feathers of a lilac-breasted roller reflects polarized light differently from the rest of the wing, a characteristic thought to aid communication between birds during aerial display. Statement number 3. The lilac-breasted roller belongs to a group of birds in which the toe tendons can lock around a perch with very little muscular effort, allowing it to remain perched for long periods while scanning for prey. As usual, let us know what you thought was the lie in the comment section. All right. Well, that's all I've got to say today. I do have some final thoughts, and this is it. The Lilac-breasted Roller reminds us that beauty in nature is never just skin deep. Behind those famous colors is an incredible, efficient hunter, an aerial acrobat, a devoted parent, a territorial defender, and a bird that's been admired by many people across Africa for generations. Next time you're lucky enough to see one perched on a dead branch, take a moment before reaching for your camera. Watch, wait, and sooner or later, it might just put on one of the greatest aerial displays in the African bush. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Between the Baobabs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider following the podcast and sharing it with a fellow wildlife enthusiast. Every share helps more people discover the incredible stories hidden in Africa's wild places. Until next time, keep looking a little closer, keep asking questions, and remember, the greatest stories are often waiting quietly between the baobabs.